quite tell from the phone numbers. He might be muted if he's on.
So Mayor, are you out there? I want to give it 2 minutes, Tracy.
Sure.
I did not hear him sign up.
Okay.
Are you out there, Mr. Mayor? Tracy, if you're ready.
Yep. Yeah, I think we can get started because I've got to go through the whole intro, so he'll probably join us by the time I get done with that, I would imagine. He's not already on.
Okay, turn it on.
Dan, can you let me know if the recording has started? I see a live, but
Can you hear us? This is Rosemary Courtney from Mrs. DiGiovanni's home.
yes, we can hear you, DiGiovanni. Yes.
I'm trouble getting video, but if you're good with audio, I'll keep trying.
Yeah, we can hear you fine now, so that's good.
Okay.
All right.
Give me a second. I'm going to start the recording.
Sure.
Allow it. I need to turn that from there.
Okay, it started. Let's get going.
Okay. Great. Good evening, everybody. This is a meeting of the Tinton Falls Borough Council being held on January 18th, 2022. This meeting is hereby called to order. Would the clerk please read the open public meeting statement?
Pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board at Borough Hall and by notification to the Asbury Park, the North Star Ledger, and the New Coaster at least 48 hours prior to the meeting, and by filing with the Borough Clerk, all on January 4th, 2022.
Thank you. May I ask the clerk to call the roll, please?
Mrs. Clay,
Here.
Mr. Dobrin,
Here.
Dr. Dobrin, excuse me, Mr. Mancinelli,
Here.
Mr. Nessie,
Here.
Ms. Buckley.
Here. At this time, I'd like to invite everyone to join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Council President Tracy Buckley. We are holding this meeting remotely utilizing the WebEx platform. Joining me remotely are my fellow council members, Risa Clay, John Manginelli, Mike Nessie, and Dr. Larry Dobrin, as well as Mayor Vito Perillo, CFO and Interim Borough Administrator Tom Fallon, Borough Clerk Melissa Hessler, Director of Law Kevin Starkey, Borough Engineer Tom Neff, and IT Director Dan Romanoff. Also joining us this evening is Monmouth County Regional Health Commissioner Director David Henry. I would like to give special thanks to IT Director Dan Romanoff for setting up this WebEx meeting and managing the technical aspects of utilizing the WebEx platform. This is a live digital council meeting that we're holding under the rules established under NJSA 10:4-8B, which allows this meeting to be held digitally during a state of emergency. For those not familiar with the WebEx platform, it allows members of the public to dial in from their computer, utilizing the WebEx app, or from a regular phone utilizing a dial-in number and meeting passcode. If you wish to be heard at the public comment portion of the meeting, please use the raise your hand function on the WebEx platform, and we will call upon you one at a time. For those dialed in via phone only, I will also open up the floor to phone comments during the public comment section as well. To mute or unmute your phone, you would press *6. You'll be asked to state your name and address for the record and observe a time limit of 3 minutes. We would like to commend our borough municipal employees from every department for all of their hard work in keeping the borough functioning during this pandemic. Moreover, we'd like to commend our Tinton Falls Office of Emergency Management, Tinton Falls Police Department, Tinton Falls Emergency Medical Services, Tinton Falls Fire Companies, and Tinton Falls Department of Public Works for your work on the front lines of this pandemic and keeping us safe. We are going to move on to approval of minutes. There are 3 sets of meeting minutes for approval. May I have a motion to approve the October 5th, 2021 regular and executive session minutes and the October 19th, 2021 regular session minutes?
Motion.
Thank you, Ms. Clay. May I have a second?
Second, Councilman Manganiello.
Thank you, Mr. Manganiello. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Clay,
Yes.
Dr. Dobrin,
Abstain.
Mr. Manganiello,
Yes.
Mr. Nessie,
Abstain.
Ms. Buckley.
Yes. We're moving on to reports. Before we move on to reports, Mayor Perillo has asked that I read the following proclamation. Proclamation celebrating the 102nd birthday of Catherine Agnes DiGiovanni. Whereas Catherine Agnes DiGiovanni was born on August 22nd, 1919, after the Treaty of Versailles was signed, and lived through the Jazz Age, the Great Depression, World War II, the Eisenhower years, Vietnam, and many more. And whereas Catherine was lovingly married to Vincent DiGiovanni, a high school principal, for more than 60 years, Catherine has been a wonderful mother to her 7 children, 12 grandchildren, and 8 great-grandchildren. Catherine's recorded memories of her life are now stored in the Library of Congress. And whereas Catherine was an honor student in Italian and International Relations from Barringer High School in Newark, and whereas Catherine is an active member of St. Anthony's Church, the Rosary Society, the Annie Society, and a stalwart of her community. And whereas at 102 years of age, Catherine is described as a loving friend, beloved neighbor to the Knollwood Drive community, a wonderful conservationist, an avid reader, and always a positive life force for many. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Council of Tinton Falls do hereby honor Catherine Agnes DiGiovanni and congratulate her for 102 years full of love, memories, and joy. Congratulations, Catherine.
Please.
I would like to ask if Catherine or Janine or a member of her family would like to make a comment at this time.
Mom, do you want to talk? And Judy? Rosemary, are you there?
So Janine, we hear you, and then we have a Robert DiGiovanni that's muted.
I think my mom was having trouble getting online, but I think they are there, or they were there. Anyway, it's a great honor, and thank you so much for doing this. She's a wonderful human being. I think there's some neighbors who are on now, and we all love her very much. I wish she could hear this. Maybe she isn't, she's just muted, but thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Tracy, may I say a word, Council President?
Oh, sure. Go ahead, John.
Well, buon compleanno, that means happy birthday in Italian. And I spent many Sundays in church with her, and she was the best dressed lady in town every Sunday. Congratulations and happy birthday.
Thank you so much. So you remember her hats. And I think if any other member of my family is on, Bob, are you on? Do you want to say something?
I just want to say thank you for the town council and the mayor for recognizing her. Okay, she is something else, that's for sure.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Next, we have another special item on our agenda this evening, which is a nice little surprise. We would like to recognize our borough clerk.
No, you're speaking.
Can
Can you hear?
Melissa Hessler, our esteemed borough clerk, as she will be retiring at the end of this month, making this her last council meeting.
I'm off here. They're done. They're done with it.
Retirement is the time to do all the things you never had time to do because you're busy working. All of us know how hard Melissa works. She's extremely knowledgeable, diligent, humble, and kind. When we came on board as new council people, she spent time patiently explaining various aspects of borough operations to us. She supported not only us, but council members and presidents who preceded us and countless residents who stopped by or called her office. She's a consummate professional. Melissa, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts and wish you much luck and happiness. This is not the end of a road, rather it's an opportunity for a new beginning. We have a little something for you tonight. If Doreen is there, in recognition of your service.
Thank you so
You're
much.
improvising since we're virtual this
That's right.
evening. So this is just a little something. You have a few more days left, but we just wanted
That's
to
beautiful.
recognize you during this last council meeting.
It's a
We got,
beautiful-
if everyone can't see, we got it's a necklace with an M and a bouquet of flowers.
Thank you so much, everybody. It's certainly been a pleasure and an honor working with every one of you. And you have me close to tears. I appreciate this surprise, and I wish everybody that I've worked with and everybody that I've worked in the past the best in life. And thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you, Melissa. Okay. Now I will compose myself and we will move on to reports. And we'll start with Mr. Neff, our borough engineer.
Thank you. I actually have no report tonight. I just want to thank Melissa as well. She's been an excellent clerk and she's always worked very well with me and makes my life easier working with the borough. So best of luck in retirement.
Thanks, Tom. Now we have Mr. Fallon, our CFO and acting business administrator.
Yeah, thank you, Council President, and good evening, everyone. I would like to report on some correspondence I received from the state of New Jersey, Division of Local Government Services regarding the 2022 budget calendar. As in past years, the state has extended the statutory due date for introduction to March 31st and adoption to April 29th. So we will be looking to adhere to those dates as we move forward with the 2022 budget. And I don't have as much to say as you did, Tracy, but I'm not going to cry like Melissa, but certainly I'd like to congratulate her and wish her a long, happy, and healthy retirement. She certainly deserves it. And it's certainly been a great pleasure working with her over the past 4 years, both in my capacity as Director of Finance and as acting borough administrator. We've always worked very well together. It's been a really good team. And thank you, Melissa, and best of luck. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Do we have Mayor Perillo? Has Mayor Perillo joined the line?
The mayor is here. Yes.
Wonderful,
okay.
Mayor. Do you have a report this evening?
Yes, I have. I want to report. I want to congratulate the Catherine DiGiovanni for her 102nd birthday and her family and her lovely family. And I second all the comments made as far as Melissa is concerned. I love her dearly, and I wish her the best. And I have another announcement to make. Today, the 18th of January, 2022, I received a memo from Chief John Scribnick advising me that he's retiring January 31st, 2022. Now, I would like to thank the Chief for his devotion and strong leadership to our great borough. Really, he's been an asset to this community. And in the same vein, I'm appointing Michael DeLucia to the rank of Chief of Police, and he will be sworn in on February the 1st, 2022 at the council meeting. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, we have Mr. Starkey, our Director of Law.
Yes, thank you. I don't have a report tonight, but I also want to publicly thank Melissa. She's made my job as Director of Law a lot easier because she's always on top of everything, reminding me when things need to be done. And I just really, Melissa, really good at working with you. It was a pleasure, and best of luck to you in retirement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Starkey. Next, we have Melissa, Mrs. Hessler, for your report.
Oh, well, I don't have a real report, but I thank everybody for their well wishes. And like I said before, when I accepted my gift, that it has been a pleasure working with every single one of you. You are like a family to me, and I spend more time here at Barrow Hall than I do at home. So, but you guys were wonderful to work with. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. And if you weren't on the last council meeting, we announced the appointment of Michelle Hutchinson, who will officially take over as Borough Clerk upon Melissa's retirement, and who has joined us again this evening. So welcome again, Michelle. Next, we have a special guest, Monmouth County Regional Health Commissioner David Henry, to provide us with a public health update. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Henry.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me. Happy New Year to everybody. And Melissa, congratulations again. It was good working with you. And good evening to the mayor and Council President Buckley and the council members and staff. Basically, I wanted to give you the brief overview of where we are currently with COVID. As many of you know, we are in a extremely, or I should say, very high level of COVID activity in the communities. And basically, around the 1st of January was the highest that we've recorded seen in the state of New Jersey. The good news is that there are continued efforts on vaccinations that are going on. And also from the standpoint, we've noticed a trend that's been very similar to Europe and South Africa, that it seems like the Omicron outbreak is starting to trend downward. So that's encouraging news. We're not out of the woods yet, but basically things are going in a good direction. There was approximately around 200 less cases of COVID so far in January as compared to December. So we're all looking for a continuing trending downward. The state health department has additionally issued some new guidance just a few minutes before we came online today. So basically for children ages 5 to 11, if they had their primary 2 shots of or two vaccinations of the Pfizer vaccine, they now no longer need to quarantine as long as they've been wearing their masking and social distancing. So basically that should be a help to the school system as well. We're currently waiting for more details from CDC and the state health department on the child care facilities, because right now they do not, they're not at the same level of quarantine guidance that the state has for K through 12 school systems. So we're waiting for that to occur. Basically, we continue to work on vaccines and vaccination clinics. Our next upcoming clinic in Tinton Falls ends up being on January 26th at the Swimming River School from 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. You can see our website for more additional information on our various clinics. So we work in conjunction with all our public health partners to try and get as many people vaccinated as possible. And basically, as I said, we just continue to watch and look at the data and the numbers, and work with our schools, our long-term care facilities, businesses, in regards to our mitigation steps, which include masking, social distancing, and we serve as consultants to all of the school districts, whether they be private or public, in Tinton Falls. So we get calls basically 7 days a week. Because as I recall, over the weekend, I was emailing back and forth to a daycare center at least 3 or 4 times over the weekend. So we do stay quite busy and quite connected with our public health partners in the field. And thankfully, the schools, because of their mitigation efforts, have been one of the safer places to be in these challenging times during the pandemic. So that's basically a brief overview of where we're at. Things are getting better, but again, we're not out of the woods yet. You know, we still encourage people to get their COVID vaccinations, get their COVID boosters, and actually something that we've seen that we didn't see last year is the increase in flu rates. So we have very high flu rates. So we're also recommending that people get their flu shots as well. And with that, I'll open it up for questions if you have questions for me from the council.
Thank you for joining us this evening, Dr. Henry. I don't have any questions at this time. As you know, I'll probably bug you before the next council meeting and see where we're at.
Oh, definitely. I will say that with the trending downward, hopefully this will lead to you being back in your usual location for council meetings, hopefully sometime in February. I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm hoping that will be the direction that we go, and if the numbers continue to trend downward as we're seeing.
Thanks. Do any of my fellow council members have a question for Mr. Henry?
No, but thank you, Dr. Henry.
Oh, just a thank you, Doctor, for being and giving us the latest update. I really appreciate it. Sure the council does. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I'm not a doctor, so Mr. Henry or Dave is perfectly fine.
Okay. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so now we'll turn it over to council reports, and we'll start with Mrs. Clay.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to wish Mrs. DiGiovanni a happy birthday. We happen to have some mutual friends, and I'm just excited that we recognized her here tonight. Also, I'd like to echo everybody's thoughts on congratulating Melissa. I do want to warn you though, Melissa, you think you're going to retire and just like have all this free time. It never seems to happen like that. So just be prepared. But thank you so much for everything you do for us. And that's all I have tonight at this.
Mrs. Clay. Dr. Dobrin, you have a report this evening?
Yes, thanks. I just wanted to say, as the newest council member, Melissa certainly has made my assimilation into the borough's government very smooth. I want to thank her for that. That's for sure. As far as a report, I have reached out to the Tinton Falls Library Association president, Rosemary Kochman, and she will now be able to contact me prior to the next meeting of the association. And then I'll have a further report. Right now, there's no activity with the Library Association. And that's it.
Thank you, Dr. Dobrin. Mr. Manginelli, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Once again, Catherine DiGiovanni, you may not remember, maybe you do remember, I'm the guy that runs around and collects the money from the parishioners. But I want to wish you once again a very, very happy birthday, 102 years, great success. And Melissa, I have mixed emotions. I'm very sad that you're leaving. I think you did a fantastic job, but I want to wish you all the health, wealth, happiness that God can give you in your retirement. Once again, we're going to miss you, but lots of luck to you, Melissa. Thank you. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Manginelli. Mr. Nessie?
Thank you, Council President, and good evening, everybody. First, Planning Board. There's no report for Planning Board. Next is the Chicken Advisory Board. I have spoke with each member of the Chicken Advisory Board, and we're getting together hopefully by next month. We're trying to coordinate a day and a location where we can actually begin the process of forming what needs to be done for residents to raise backyard chickens. So that's exciting. Next is recreation. The Tinton Falls Rec Department is starting the basketball games for boys and girls in second grade through grade 8 this Thursday, January 20th. Games will be held Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Tinton Falls Middle School and the MOASC. The season will run through March 12th. Their protocols are in place and spectators are limited to 2 per player. Our kindergarten and first grade basketball league has begun and is held Saturdays at the MOASC school. Their season begins on January 8th and will run through March 6th. The wrestling program has had a tremendous interest and is running smoothly. They have had a few meets and several of the wrestlers medaled. Special thanks to Coach Mike for a great season. At Borough Hall, there is an art program, Kids Art, held on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. This program is for boys and girls, kindergarten through grade 5. We also have a Minecraft Snapology program on Mondays, 5 to 6, for boys and girls ages 8 to 12. The Tinton Falls Rec is looking forward to scheduling further recreation programs and activities for the spring and summer seasons. And finally, I'd like to say congratulations to Melissa on your retirement. Everyone in Borough Hall will miss you, but we are very excited for your new journey. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed working with you. You have been a creative problem solver and an empathetic listener. You have truly made an impact on me and the Borough of Tinton Falls. I've enjoyed our time working on various projects, day-to-day activities, and me just stopping by our Borough Hall just to say hello while my kids run around the halls. I wish you the best in your future endeavors and your family. Thank you, Melissa. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Nessie. Finally, for my reports, the next Femera meeting, which is, if you're not familiar, I'm just looking, we've got 41 folks on the phone, which is awesome. I'm glad so many people were able to join us this evening. Femera stands for the Fort Monmouth Economic Revitalization Authority, which is the board that governs the old fort property, consisting of representative from Tinton Falls, Oceanport, and Eatontown, and then a whole bunch of members from the state, different agencies and departments of the state. There's a monthly meeting, usually the Wednesday of every month. It happens to be tomorrow. There's nothing related to Tinton Falls on the agenda, but I will mention it because you'll probably see news articles where there was a kind of the largest piece of land termed the mega parcel. There was a request for offer to purchase that is being essentially rescinded or pulled back and then reissued, both tomorrow night's meeting. And what they're essentially doing, to make it very simple, is they are, I don't know if you got, there was another article where the bowling center was a separate parcel and that deal fell through. So Femera is proposing to add the bowling center onto the mega parcel. And it was kind of spatially, it was kind of in the middle of the whole mega parcel. So it kind of makes sense to add it. But that's what there will be on the agenda for the major item for the board to approve tomorrow, is to essentially pull back the original request to offers to purchase and issue another set for bidders to then go out and bid on for that entire site. And then secondarily, the Tinton Falls Environmental Commission, our next meeting is on Thursday, January 27th at 7:30 p.m. And it will be either virtual or hybrid, but there's a hybrid option as well as personals in the past. And that's all for my report this evening. There are no ordinances for introduction or final consideration this evening. So that brings us to the open public discussion. May I have a motion to open the public discussion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Nessie. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Dobrin. All in favor? Aye. Great. This is the time the public can comment on any topic of their choice. Please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you're on the WebEx, we'd appreciate it if you could please utilize the raise your hand function so we know who wants to make a comment. And Right now, while you're doing that, I'll ask anyone who's dialed in via phone, if you have a comment to make, please state your name and address for the record and limit your comment to 3 minutes. Does anyone who's dialed in via phone have a comment to make at this time?
Hi, it's Michelle Simon, Madison Court. Good evening, everyone.
Michelle.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So I just wanted to get an update on the host agreement. That's my first question, if there's been any movement on that.
Okay, thank you. I haven't heard of any. I'll turn that over to Tom Fallon, our acting VA.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. No, Michelle, at this time, there's been no additional movement on the host agreement. I did just a couple weeks ago speak to one of the commissioners to get things moving again. So I'm hopeful that we'll have some progress in the near future.
Okay, thank you. And Council President, my second question is, or rather concern, is that while I believe Tinton Falls is, receiving the payments as a part of the host agreement, there are other aspects of the host agreement that the county is in breach of. And those things include having members of the community on, appointed to the board. And so there's no transparency about what's been going on for the last couple of years. And so every day that goes by, every week, every month, every year, the citizens are not, getting information, and there's no transparency. And they're in breach of the host agreement with regards to that. The money's important, but as we know, the county has not communicated to the Tinton Falls residents. And with that, I do want to say thank you to the council for making the residents aware of the current open public comment that has to be done by, I think, January 20th with regards to the increase of the tonnage for MAZA. So I just want to put that out there. I think it's really important that we get moving on this.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Simon. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate your comments. Does anyone else who's dialed in via phone need to make a comment at this time? Okay. I am going to look at the raise the hands, and the first one I see is Ellen.
Good evening, Ellen Goldberg, 90 Glenwood Drive.
Hey, Ellen, good evening.
Hi. First of all, I would like to congratulate Melissa, as everyone else has been doing. It was incredible to work with her this past fall, and I can't say enough good things about the opportunity that I had to get to know her a little bit. And I told her when she told me that she was retiring, how sad I was going to be that Tinton Falls was losing such a wonderful clerk. But as I know very well, retirement is wonderful, so I highly recommend it. Secondly, I just want to restate that the library is going to have our children's fashion show fundraiser on April 2nd. Doors open at 2 p.m. We are looking for students in Tinton Falls schools, Tinton Falls residents that are in grades kindergarten through 5th grade to be our models. We're looking for boys and girls. And we are hoping that we get a large number of children who are going to participate. It is sponsored by The Gap in Shrewsbury. They have been wonderful to work with. This will be our 3rd fashion show. We also are having our silent auction again, and we are looking for people who have businesses that might want to contribute items, baskets, gift cards for auction. And we are also very anxiously looking for sponsors. So if anyone who is on the call tonight has a business that is able to give money to sponsor the fashion show and help the library, that would be fantastic. Is it okay if I give my email address or anybody to reach out to me, Council President?
Sure.
Okay, my email is 49, the numbers 49 on the go at gmail.com. That's 49 on the go at gmail.com. And we would appreciate anything that anyone would like to donate, or if anyone wants to help and donate their time and help at the fashion show prior to or during the fashion show, it would be great. It's going to be held at Atchison School. And I think that's it. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Ellen. The next hand I see raised is Mitch Kohlberg. Just
Yep. Hi. Yeah, I really just want to jump on the bandwagon and wish Melissa a happy retirement. I've worked with her several times over the last several years, and like everyone else has said already, she's just been truly amazing and remarkable. I've got a bit of the OCD thing, and everything she does is just so perfect. It's amazing. I come to pick some paperwork up, and it's 100% correct. It's labeled. It's filed. It's just amazing. Anyway, she's a wonderful person and super nice, and did her job very well. And I wish her the very best, and look forward to working with Michelle. So thanks. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mitch. The
I
next hand I
didn't say 21 Cedar Place. Forgot to say the official address. I think.
The next hand I see raised is Susan Guarino.
Hi,
Yep.
Susan Guarino, 2 Brown Drive. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good evening, Tracy, Council President Tracy Buckley, and everyone else. I would be remiss not to respond to the mayor's comment about Chief Scrivener and his retirement. Wow, overwhelming. And I just have to say thank you to him for all he's done to protect and serve our community. And it's just overwhelming that I just heard he's retiring. So congratulations to him. Congratulations to Officer DeLucia. And really, for everything he's done and for our community, I wish him well. And that's what I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Sue. I don't see any other hands raised. Dan, could you just take a check? See if I missed any.
I don't see any either. If somebody's having issues with raising their hand, they can unmute and say something.
Wait a second. Wait, I saw a thumbs up. Ruth Santulli, did you have a comment? Maybe not. Okay. Melissa, were there any comments submitted in writing for this meeting?
No, I did not receive any comments.
Okay, great. Thank you. With that, may I have a motion to close the public discussion?
Motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Clay. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. May I have a wait, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Does any member of council have anything to add before we move on to resolutions?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Nessie.
I just wanted to congratulate Michelle Hutchinson for joining Tinton Falls team. And I think I can speak for everybody that we all look forward to working with her.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Yes, Council President.
Yes.
John Scrivanek, great job keeping the borough safe. I'm very sorry to see him leave, but I wish him well in his retirement. And good luck to DeLucia, Chief DeLucia. Best of luck to you, John. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Before we move on to the consent agenda, are there any items any member of council would like removed to be voted upon separately? Okay. Hearing and seeing none. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Okay, I heard Dr. Dobrin for the motion first, and may I have a second?
Second.
I heard Mrs. Clay for the second first. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Clay,
Yes.
Dr. Dobrin,
Yes.
Mr. Mancinelli,
Yes.
Mr. Nessie,
Yes.
Ms. Buckley.
Yes, thank you. At this time, we will adjourn to our workshop meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and open the workshop meeting?
Motion.
So move.
Thank you, Mr. Nessie. May I have a second, please?
Okay.
Thank you, John. Favor?
Aye.
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 Great. This workshop meeting is hereby called to order. Would the clerk please read the open public meeting statement?
Pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, posting on the Borough website and Facebook page, and by notification to the Asbury Park Press, the Newark Star Ledger, and the New Coaster at least 48 hours prior to the meeting, and by filing with the Borough Clerk all on January 4th, 2022.
Thank you. May I ask the clerk to call the roll, please?
Mrs. Clay,
Yes.
Dr. Dobrin,
Yes.
Mr. Mancinelli,
Yes.
Mr. Nessie,
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Buckley.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. I'm Council President Tracy Buckley. We're holding this meeting remotely utilizing the WebEx platform. Joining me remotely are my fellow council members, Risa Clay, John Manginelli, Mike Nessie, and Dr. Larry Dobrin, as well as Mayor Vito Perillo, our CFO and interim Borough Administrator, Tom Fallon, our Borough Clerk, Melissa Hessler, our Director of Law, Kevin Starkey, our Borough Engineer, Tom Neff, and our Director, Dan Romanov. This is a live digital council workshop meeting that we're holding under the rules established under NJSA 10:4-8B, which allows this meeting to be held digitally during a state of emergency. For those not familiar with the WebEx platform, it allows members of the public to dial in from their computer utilizing the WebEx app or from a regular phone utilizing a dial-in number and meeting passcode. This workshop is being held to discuss two items: the Sustainable Jersey program renewal, as well as the cannabis application guidelines for licensing. No formal action will be taken at this workshop meeting. We'll aim to keep this to an hour if we need, and as a general note, if we need to continue any discussion, we can always carry that to a future workshop meeting. If time allows, we'll have public comment at the end of both subjects. If you wish to be heard during the public comment portion, please use the raise your hand function in the WebEx platform, and we'll call on you one at a time. For those dialed in via phone only, I would open up the floor to phone comments during the public comment section as well. To mute or unmute your phone, you would press *6. You'll be asked to state your name and address for the record and observe a time limit of 3 minutes. There is no unfinished business to be discussed, so that brings us to our first topic, which is the Sustainable Jersey program. And I believe Dan will be sharing the slides. I have a little slide deck to go through. Wonderful. Thank you, Dan. Okay, so if you, we first had a presentation from Sustainable Jersey several years ago, and then again, most recently at our December Environmental Commission meeting. I happen to be the liaison to the Environmental Commission, so I will be going through these slides. Next slide, Dan. What is Sustainable Jersey, if you haven't heard? It's a nonprofit organization that provides tools, trainings, and financial incentives, aka grants, to support communities as they pursue sustainability programs. 6.3 million in grants to municipalities and schools throughout Sustainable Jersey Grants Program. Next slide, please. Great. Just a brief overview of all of the towns that currently participate in Sustainable Jersey. The program was started in 2009. There's currently 81% of towns participating. 155, there are 3 levels: bronze, silver, and gold. There are with bronze being the lowest. There are 155 municipalities in New Jersey that are bronze certified. There are 64 municipalities that are silver certified, and there is 1 that is gold certified. And I will explain what that means. You can go to the next slide. You can actually go 2 slides down. There you go. So what are the different actions, right? So they go into different categories. There's a total of 148 actions and 15 task forces. So I'm just going to go kind of through a brief overview. Who should be involved? Members of the community, governing body members, borough employees, but primarily members of the residents of the community. How long will it take and what will it cost? It's no cost to the borough, and it takes basically as long as it does. There's an annual application and certification process, which I will go through. There's different deadlines every year. Typically it's around May every year, where you can, if you're ready for either bronze or silver certification, you would submit at that. The next slide is probably very helpful. One more slide, Dan. There we go. So what are the different action categories? As you can see from the slide, they are quite various. There's everything from health and wellness, community partnerships and outreach, emergency management and resiliency, energy, which you've probably heard a lot about, green energy, food, as in, for example, composting, land use and transportation, natural resources maintenance, public information and engagement, waste management, a number of different areas. If you go 2 slides down, Dan, to the certification benefits. One, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You can go to the next slide. So the first and lowest step is what's called, there you go, bronze certification, which is a total of 150 points. So basically, a municipality does different actions throughout the course of a year or 2 years. Once they get to what they think is 150 points, they would submit for certification by whatever deadline it is of that year for Sustainable Jersey. If they haven't reached 150 points, they don't submit for certification that year. They just continue to work on various actions until such time as they have 150 points. Sustainable Jersey has a whole action tracker of those different categories. How many actions are worth a certain amount of points? There's everything from your governing body doing a simple resolution, 5 points, creating a green team, 10 points. I'll go through a couple of different examples. The only mandatory action is to form a green team, which is the members of the community that will be working on this program. What does working on it mean? Essentially, doing the actions throughout the community, documenting them, and then when you get to that 150 points, submitting the packages to Sustainable Jersey for certification. And once you've hit that, you've been bronze certified, you just continue on working, but you don't submit again until you get to 350 points or 3 years time. So it's this long iterative process. As you can see, most towns in Jersey are bronze certified. That's kind of your first lowest level. And next slide. Okay, so what does certification mean? It means you've created a green team, you've made commitment to various sustainable items, and you've succeeded in implementing the first significant actions, which will give you that bronze certification. And silver, as I said, is above and beyond that. It's a nice recognition for your town. If you are not familiar with the New Jersey League of Municipalities, it is the kind of overarching governing body, essentially basically a support system for all 500 plus municipalities in New Jersey. They have an annual conference that we all go to, and Sustainable Jersey has its own program as part of that conference. And they also, for all the municipalities that reach a new certification level that year, be it bronze or silver, they have a nice award ceremony. They make a big deal of it. You can get your name in the New Jersey League of Municipalities magazine. It's a nice thing for the towns. The next slide, please. There you go. Okay, so kind of one layer down, more specifics. So what do you need to do for certification? The first is to join the program. The governing body needs to pass a resolution, and that would officially register your municipality with Sustainable Jersey. Then you would form a green team. The next is you would, however long it takes you, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, whatever, meet the criteria for either bronze or silver certification, and then submit your documentation for each action. And these things would be done by the members of the green team. Next slide, which kind of brings it home to me. Let's make it more specific for Tinton Falls. So Tinton Falls actually joined joined Sustainable Jersey program in 2010 with resolution R-10-240. So we actually became part of the program, and it's on record as of 2010. However, there wasn't any further formal action that I can tell of or that Sustainable Jersey has recorded since then. However, be that as it may, the borough has not ignored sustainability. They've done a number of things since 2010. They just haven't gotten any credit for it because they haven't formed a green team or documented to submit for Sustainable Jersey. So just some of the actions that I'm aware of. This list is not all inclusive. It's just the ones that I knew of off the top of my head. We have a community gardens that gets you 10 points. Our community gardens is accessible. That gets you another 5 or 10 points. We have a farmer's market that gets your points. We have energy efficient buildings. We now have an online municipal public service system for residents to utilize. We have smoke-free and tobacco-free public places. We have the digitalization of public information. Last year, we passed the enhanced stormwater management control ordinance. We passed a resolution supporting a community solar program for leasing rooftops. And our police department has a prescription drug safety and disposal program. So there's a number of different things that you wouldn't think of as being part of Sustainable Jersey program that we've already done. So I think now would be a great time for us to continue working on those action items. And then when we're ready, this year, next year, whenever it would be, submit for bronze certification. So next steps we would need to take if we want to move forward is we would need to renew the 2010 resolution, only because that 2010 resolution named the agent of the town, which is the one name that's kind of listed on Sustainable Jersey's website. And that individual no longer works for the borough. So we would need to update it merely to update for that name. And then we would need to create a green team. So if you were at the last Environmental Commission meeting, there was a lot of interest there. The good thing about the green team, unlike a formal border commission, is there's no maximum number of people, and it can be done annually via resolution. So there may be people that want to be super involved in a certain thing, for 2022, but they don't want to make a long-term commitment. That's fine. They can just join and be active for a year. Then you have other people who may not have time this year, but may want to join next year. That's fine. It's all inclusive. Makes it really easy for people to join and to get involved. And let's see. That's I think that's pretty much what it would be. Once we if my fellow council members are aligned, once we would pass the new resolution, then we would seek out. And part of the reason I wanted to do this presentation is if there's folks on the line who are like, this is really cool, I'd like to be part of this green team, please email myself or one of the other council members, and we will get you hooked in. Then once we pass the resolution, we would need to do a second resolution once we have a number of folks that want to be part of the green team to designate those names and officially pass that green team resolution for Sustainable Jersey. And then they would meet and start documenting the actions already taken and work towards others. That's all I'll go into here because there is a very detailed spreadsheet of a whole bunch of different actions that we can do. But just if you're curious, like the ones that I have on the screen that I know we've already done, when I just took an informal straw poll of points, my estimate is that we already have about 80 points towards the 150 already done from the actions that were done in past years. So we're kind of like halfway there already. Next slide, please. You may be thinking, what do I need to do on a green team? You would develop plans, implement programs, assist with educational opportunities, any of the different actions that would be required or would get points, you can do as a green team member. So like I said, there may be folks that are interested in one area and not in another, and that's totally fine. It can be part of the Environmental Commission. It usually has some Environmental Commission members, but they recommend for it to be a separate group just to work. The Environmental Commission has their base, what they need to do, and the green team works purely on Sustainable Jersey initiatives. There's also in the last two slides, if you can go 2 slides down, I also want to make everyone aware, thanks. There are regional hubs, so you're not in this alone. So if you look on the map, basically by county, there are regional hubs that meet monthly. I've been to some of these before. I know a couple of environmental commission members have as well. And that it's actually really great because you can call up, you know, the Middletown Green Team or the, you know, Red Bank Green Team. How did you do this? Get ideas and resources, share and collaborate. Makes everything a lot easier. And that is all I have for my formal presentation. I wanted to ask my fellow council members if you have any questions, thoughts, etc. about moving forward with redoing the resolution and moving forward with the program.
Yes, I don't have a question, Council President. I just have a basically a statement of support for Sustainable Jersey. These are great slides. This is very helpful. Thank you. I see no reason why we can't go further than, you know, bronze or silver. I'm just looking at everything that you put there. We're already more than halfway there, and we didn't even try. So I think with the residents in Tinton Falls who support this, I think this is a great idea. I support it, and I'll do what I can to help.
I wanted to add, I'm really excited that we're going to be doing this. I remember a couple of years ago that we sat through the presentation at League of Municipalities, and it's exciting that this is on the table for us. I think there's a variety of programs that we can look at, and many that we already have in town. And we're fortunate that we have a large and diverse talent pool in our residents. And I think this is an exciting project. I also just happened to get invited, but it was tonight, to a Sustainable Jersey online meeting for a group in South Jersey. And they have some things that are similar to us and other things that I thought, wow, this is pretty interesting, and these might be some good options. So I think this would be great for our town. It would show off a lot of the great things that we do, and it would be good for us to get out there with it. Thank you.
So yeah, that might have been one of the other counties' hub meetings because they usually hold them monthly. So like I said, you can get a lot of great ideas from the other counties' work as well.
Yes, Tracy, I think it's a very good program, and I don't see any problems with getting a resolution. Not sure if I can get on a green team, but I would think of what expertise or skill I can contribute to the program. But I think it's a very good idea.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mancinelli.
Yes, and I have to agree. Can you hear me there?
Yes, Dr. Dobrin.
I certainly agree with it. It's a beautiful program. And what I want to know is, what do you propose to, of course, we want to get the community involved. How are you going to go about, letting the community know, the borough residents?
Sure. So, so first, this was kind of announced and broadcast before the last Environmental Commission meeting. So I already have a list of people that have emailed me or expressed interest at that meeting of about 8 or 9 names. And part of the reason as to why I wanted to present it here is to raise the awareness further. And we can all post on our socials. And if residents come up to you that they may be interested, to please forward those names along, because I'm kind of just been collecting names. We have involvement, if she was on the line, from Bryn Mazzello, who's part of Massa Recycling. So they look for, some of the things they look for is different areas of expertise. We have Tatiana, who I think I saw on the phone, who is a new member of the Environmental Commission, who has GIS expertise. We have a member of the Environmental Commission who's an engineer. So the more different groups of expertise that we can bring in, that makes it even stronger and better. One other thing I did mention, just for edification of members of the public is Sustainable Jersey. Part of what they do in supporting municipalities is make you aware of grants. Some of the items here, for example, off the top of my head, Ocean Township was awarded, this is 2 or 3 years ago, a $20,000 grant to create an environmental inventory of resources that they have in their town. There are smaller grants that are available as well, but that's something where if there is an action that requires cost, there's usually a grant available. But like I said, there's so many to pick from that you know, the green team and we can decide, you know, what best suits our particular town.
Well, it's an excellent opportunity for the community. I'm certainly glad you presented it tonight.
Great, thanks.
So
Bucky.
thank you. Thank you, Tracy.
Right. So with that, I think we can move on to the cannabis discussion. The application, specifically application guidelines for licensing. This kind of came about, and I wanted to just mention it in a workshop because I'd share with the council members the CRC, which is the Cannabis Regulatory Commission. I'll refer to it as the CRC, published a really large document detailing different license application guidelines and requirements. I know we also have had questions. I am still trying to get a meeting scheduled with the CRC. I am waiting for them to respond back to me as to what when they might be available. But in the interim, you know, borough professionals led by our borough engineer, Tom Neff, put together kind of a draft. And I will at this time turn it over to Tom Neff to kind of walk through what the municipality's responsibility is and kind of what we think we see as the process moving forward as far as applications at the local level.
Thank you, Council President. So as council and public remembers, last year, council approved a new ordinance to allow certain types of cannabis uses in certain areas of the borough. And at that time, the state CRC really hadn't finalized everything. They're still coming up with some of the regulations. And when the ordinance was adopted, you know, a lot of us were under the impression that any new applications would go to the state first for approval, and the state would kind of sort through them initially, and then any applications that were approved by the state would then come to the borough for review and approval and any potential licensing or permitting. Since the ordinance was adopted, as Tracy indicated, the CRC issued this new lengthy guideline document. They've also since started actually accepting applications for a couple of the different classes of licenses. So we have had some questions from a few potential businesses about what the borough's process would be and inquiring, you know, would we support their applications? So we looked into it, you know, we reviewed the CRC document, and the way this is going to work, again, based on the state's requirements, is that any applicant has to, as part of their application to the state, include what they call local support. So whenever a business owner or an applicant applies to the state, they have to include support from the local level. So what that means is the borough has to adopt an actual resolution in support of an application. So the resolution would have to include things like the applicant's name, you know, indication that it's a permitted use in the zone, confirmation that we have the appropriate number of licenses available. So the applicant would then take that support, include it in their full application to the state. The state would review the full application, and if they approve it, it would be sent back to the local level, and then it would be handled through the zoning department as well as the clerk's department for further review and approval. But the main issue that we wanted to bring up tonight is just regarding that resolution. You know, obviously the borough doesn't want to just approve and support any application that comes through. We want to make sure it meets the ordinance that was approved last year. That's going to be a good fit for the borough. So what we've developed is what we're calling the Cannabis Request for Endorsement application. And this is what any applicant would have to submit to the borough before they ask for that resolution of support. So this would be an application form and then a full package outlining everything that they're looking to do. So the application includes the basic information like the name, address, what zone they're in, what type of application or license they're applying for regarding, class 1 for cultivating, class 2 for manufacturing. It also mentions the standard license or micro business license. And then it really gets into the full detail of what they're proposing. There's a full business and operation plan where it goes through everything from exactly, what are they doing inside the building, to deliveries and traffic. There's even a community relations plan. How are they going to be interacting with the borough? Are they going to be volunteering for events, supporting the borough in various ways? Financial analysis, accounting, tax compliance, and then some of the important site issues like odor mitigation. We want to make sure that we get a detailed odor mitigation plan outlining how they're going to comply with those requirements so that there's no odor being generated from the site. Safety and security plan, everything from security guards to safes, lighting plan for the site, detailed site and floor plans, things like that. That way we have a full application, we get the full picture, exactly what's being proposed. We make sure that the applicants are vetted, that they know what they're doing, they understand what they're getting into, and they have everything ready to go. So that would be reviewed. Then the council would determine if they're able to adopt a resolution in support of that applicant. But again, that resolution in support of the applicant is not a final approval. It's just one step in the process. So you would approve that resolution of support, then they have to include that with their full application to the state, which includes even more information than what I just talked about. There's a significant package that they have to prepare for the state. And then again, if the state approves it, then it comes back to the borough. We'll do another review of the detailed site plan and all the package again as part of the zoning permit, and ultimately a license that may be issued. So that's kind of the overview that I have of that.
Thanks, Tom. And my understanding is if the applicant, say, doesn't know that they need to ask for this from the municipality and they submit to the CRC is supposed to kind of let the borough know, right, that they need that to complete. Like, they can't complete the package without the resolution of support from the municipality. So if the applicant doesn't come to the municipality first, the CRC will reach out and say, hey, we need your letter. Here's everything we've received from the applicant so far. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm not sure if it would be the CRC reaching out directly to the borough, or if they might notify the applicant that their application is incomplete or denied and that they need additional information. So then the applicant might come back to the borough and say, hey, I did everything else for the state, but I need this completed still.
So Tom, it's good, based upon what you said. See, in our resolution, we've allowed two licenses for each of the 5 categories that we approve. So that means 10 resolutions. Now, let's assume for a moment that the state rejects, after we pass the resolution, the state rejects that application, okay? So that resolution gets abrogated, obviously. Is that correct?
Yes, so again, just approving the resolution doesn't necessarily assign one of the licenses to that application.
Right.
And we might be getting multiple applications in, and we might say, yes, we have 2 licenses available in the borough, but we haven't actually issued any of them yet. The applications are all just under review.
Okay. So in the Asbury Park Press, for as accurate as the information is, there apparently is some controversy over people growing their own. And I'm not sure, after I finish reading it, exactly how that affects any of the licensing. Apparently, the implication is they may prohibit homegrown cannabis. There's some people in that group that want to prohibit it. Do you have any information on that?
It's my understanding that this, everything we've been talking about, the ordinance that was approved, the licenses, this application process is strictly business use, not homegrown.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
And I also read that they're going to prioritize communities to issue licenses. How does that affect what we're doing in terms of
Yes.
having?
So they do have a bit of a priority list based on different economic impact zones, different things, and it does, after a quick review of it, I don't believe Tinton Falls qualifies for those zones. So realistically, I don't think Tinton Falls is going to be in this initial release of licenses from the state. Maybe the second round.
Okay.
So essentially, like my understanding, John, is, we could say we get two and we get two businesses and we review and we say, yep, both of those businesses meet all of our local ordinance requirements. We would be comfortable issuing letters of support for both those two businesses. CRC may only issue, I think it's 37 total licenses in the first 3 to 6 months. They may be like, that's great, Tinton Falls, but we're going to issue the license to this other business in this other town.
Yeah, well,
so
that's where my question was going. I know there's a minimum or a maximum number of licenses that are going to be issued for each category, and how many of those licenses would be given priority? How many of those licenses are priority licenses given to those communities which qualify for it? I mean, if they're going to issue 37 per category, and those neighborhoods or communities that qualify for have 30, I mean, I'm just curious about it. It doesn't seem like they got something that we can really rely on in terms of what's going to happen in our town. But I understand the procedure. I understand what you want to get done. And I also understand that we could pass a resolution, pass the application on to the state, and the state can say, no, we're not satisfied with this one. And then any thought now on, so that application is rejected by the state, can that applicant refile? Or if it is rejected, will the state tell us why it's rejected?
I don't know those answers.
Yeah, I don't know whether the state will tell us why. But I do know they can refile then later if it's denied. If it's denied because it's in incomplete application, then the person could then the business could file again.
Okay.
But
all right.
John, if there's any of these additional questions, if you could just jot them down, because like I said, I've been waiting to hear back from the CRC as to when they're going to be able to meet with us, and I'd like to just be able to ask them all these things.
Okay, well, Risha and I are on the subcommittee for this, and put the question, absolutely, because I am very curious about this, and the only information I'm really getting is from the Asbury Park Press, and
oh well, you can so the CRC meetings themselves are broadcast on their website. I can send you.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, they usually meet once a month. I'll warn you, the meetings are like 2 to 4 hours long.
Yeah, no, I've seen that, and I've followed them. Yes, okay. Okay, thanks, Tom. Great presentation. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you, Tom, because the application was so thorough. As I was reading through all the guidelines, and I was thinking, wow, we have so much work here. And then the next thing I knew, you had done it and sent it to us. So I just wanted to tell you that I really appreciate your work.
Thank you.
I'm just looking at the chat that popped up. So Mitch Kohlberg asked, is there one resolution for each applicant or one resolution to create the process for all? It's one resolution for each applicant that would need to be as part of that applicant's package. And I see that Brian Nessie has answered some of the questions. The one impact specialty that would affect Tinton Falls is women-owned business, is a woman or minority-owned business, or some of the preference priorities which could potentially take place in Tinton Falls. Okay, I think that's pretty much at this time, since that didn't take that long. I think we can, if you guys are all right, we might have a couple of questions from the public that we can take or comments. So if everyone's all right, I'd like to have a motion to open the workshop for public comment.
Motion.
Thanks.
Second.
Thanks, Mr. Manginelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay. I think everyone's pretty much on WebEx. I think I only see 2 phone calls. The first hand I see raised is Brian Nessie. You can unmute yourself, Brian.
Hi, everyone. Brian Nessie, 14 Riverview Drive. One, I want to state that I am interested in the green team. So can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm interested in the green team. So please, if you can put me down for that somehow, I would love to be a part of that. The second thing I want to get to, and I want to answer, actually, I have, so I have helped my wife through the application process. I'm kind of our resident cannabis guru at home here in terms of the licensing. So to answer some of the questions that were put forth, priority licensing goes for the actual applicant itself. So if you're a women-owned business, minority-owned, they get priority. So that means that it's a rolling basis for the application process for approval. So if you are a priority, you get put first in a pile that gets looked at first. So that's the only thing that means by the priority of it. Whether you get accepted or not, that depends on your application itself. However, the 37 licenses that you've referred to are for the standard cultivator licenses, not for every license. So there's going to be 37 cultivator licenses in the state of New Jersey as of right now, they said, but they might actually increase that number. For all the other licenses, there's an unlimited amount of licenses that can be given out. They said that they will assess as they go forward, as they start giving the licenses out and see whether they're going to put a cap on it. So I had a quick question for Tom. So if there, because, and this kind of brings up, the question that was raised as well by Manginelli, is if there's only 2, so there's 2 licenses for Tinton Falls per license, right? Or yeah. So will you issue more endorsements than there are licenses, or will you hold off, because that will kind of it's because not all of them will actually get accepted by the state, or you know what I mean? Because it's kind of limits.
Right. So I think the way we're going to word them is, yes, in this initial round, we would accept multiple applications, and if council agrees that they're worthy of support, that they meet the requirements, I think we could issue multiple resolutions of support, with the caveat that we have 2 licenses total, and if the state, if we send 4 to the state and the state only approves 2, then we're in good shape. They come back to finalize the zoning permits and the actual license, and we'd be in good shape. But if we support 4 and then the state actually approves 4, then we have to reconsider.
I think that's one of my questions, Tom, is what do they want us to do on that? Because I don't believe that the CRC is going to be looking at our local ordinances. So if they see 4 letters of support from municipality, would they potentially assume that we have 4 licenses to give?
That's something that I agree needs a little bit more understanding.
Yeah, that's one of my main questions.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Mr. Nessie raises a good point. So we wouldn't, if for a cultivator, and we're only permitted in our resolution 2 licenses per cultivator, are you suggesting the borough would hear and submit more than 2 applications? That doesn't, so that we would require 4 resolutions? Am I understanding this correctly?
Each application requires a resolution, but
I understand, but
is
we
your question-
know that we're only permitted, we've only agreed on 2 licenses per category. So let's deal with the growers only, because we know that there's a limited number that have been given out, 37. And so Tinton Falls said we'll permit 2 licenses per grower. But are you saying we would entertain more than 2 applications and submit that to the state? So that we would have 4 resolutions for a 2 grower license?
I think that's something that still needs to be figured out. You know, this is kind of the first step just to finalize the checklist of what the applicants would need to submit, because we've been getting some phone calls, you know, what's required to submit, what do you guys need from us? So we wanted to at least get the ball rolling and develop this checklist so we could give this out to anyone who calls and asks what's required. But that is something that we've been trying to talk to the CRC about, you know, exactly what is required in that resolution. You know, if we only have 2, can we only issue 2 resolutions of support? You know, the concern with that is then, you know, how long is the state going to take to review those applications? You know, is everyone on hold then? Or can we submit multiple at a time and then see how the state, you know, see how many they approve?
Okay. But Tracy, when you said that we should write these questions down, these are the kinds of questions that we would be asking. Submit that to you?
Yeah, myself, Tom, whoever. I'm just realizing now,
Oh,
this is,
okay.
this is
Okay.
being recorded, so we can always just go back and jot them down from the recording.
Okay, I'm not there for you, and I just want to see how the procedure is going to work, and you know how much time we're going to spend. Like my opinion right now is, if we're only going to have 2 growers licensed, we should only submit 2 applications to the state, and instead of trying to pass a multiple number of resolutions. So that's my opinion right now. But those are the questions I would ask. You know, we would limit ourselves to only saying, okay, we're going to submit 2 applications to the state. But I don't know, we got to get some feedback from people on what is the right thing to do. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're also gonna just, talk to other municipalities, see how they're kind of handling that as well, or what their interpretation is. Tom, I know you've already started talking to Ocean Township and stuff, but I think, again, the purpose of this workshop was just to get the application package out there. I think we'll learn a lot more as each week goes by. So I don't think we need to have any of that ironed out by now. I didn't.
Right, and I commend Tom. He did a fantastic job on the applications. Tom, you're to be congratulated on that. Really, very good job.
Thank you. I won't take full credit. I did take some of it from Ocean Townships. You know, they had started the process, but we tweaked it for Tinton Falls.
Okay.
Good job. Good job.
Thanks.
Good job.
Thank you.
Was there anyone else that had a comment? All right, seeing no others, can I have a motion to close the public discussion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Great, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, okay. Let's see, at this time, we'll move on to the executive session. May I have a motion to adjourn the workshop meeting?
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Belbrin. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. This executive session is hereby called to order. Would the clerk please read the open public meeting statement?
Pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, posting on the Borough website and Facebook page, and by notification to the Asbury Park Press, the Newark Star Ledger, and the new coaster at least 48 hours prior to the meeting, and by filing with the Borough Clerk all on January 4th, 2022.
Thank you. May I ask the clerk to call the roll, please?
Mrs. Clay,
Yes.
Dr. Dobrin,
Yes.
Mr. Mancinelli,
Yes.
Mr. Nessie,
Yes.
and Ms. Buckley.
Yes. At this time, I'd like to ask the Director of Law to read the executive session resolution.
Thank you, Council President. This is a resolution to enter executive session. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act provides that the Borough Council may go into executive session to discuss matters confidential or listed pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12, and whereas it is recommended by the Director of Law that the Borough Council go into executive session to discuss the matters set forth hereinafter which are permissible for discussion in executive session. Now, therefore, resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Tinton Falls that the council should go into executive session to discuss the following items. We have only one on the list for tonight, that is personnel